Welcome to the final episode of the Stephanie Gaitley Show here in the 2017-2018 basketball season. We're going to wrap it all up here with our Looking Back segment. Raf Elia, of course, with head coach Stephanie Gaitley. It's been a long season, and at the end of this long season, it feels like it's just last week that we started this Stephanie Gaitley Show, started the first week, coming in with this young team, mostly freshmen, only one senior with Jamaris Davis graduating now. And we put it all now in the rear view as we look forward to next season, 2018-2019. And we haven't seen you now for a couple weeks, had the NIT going on. And how's it been these last couple weeks? Settled down and now kind of looking forward more, or has it just been a more of a rest, put it in the rear view?
Before I look back and before I look forward, I'm going to think present. I'm going to wish Bob Aarons a happy birthday, Loveness. So
our
executive
producer right here behind the camera, his birthday today, and
he's
obviously 25 or 26.
Okay, yeah,
25 or 26, I forget. You lose track after 20.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. But no, I really got to give him a shout out because he's the one that generates the show, and Bob's been terrific, and he does such a great job with all of you guys. You guys have been such a pleasure to work with, but I think that's also not only a reflection of your parents, but also a reflection of who you fall under. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Bob.
And then, obviously, from our side, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and obviously with all the players who, aside from themselves and their parents, have also you to thank for. And it comes through in their answers as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I mean, when you get to this time of year, I mean, we've done some individual meetings. We start our workouts tomorrow. So even when one of my former players who coaches at Mississippi State, I gave her a couple days because that ending was obviously a dramatic end when they lost to Notre Dame. And I texted her. I said, "Listen, don't focus on the last game. Focus on the body of work, and and what you're able to do with those kids." And that's kind of how I looked at it. I had to look at my own words and say, your season has to end at some point. There's only a few teams that end, with winning seasons. And so for us to get to the Sweet 16 with a really young team, with facing some adversity along the way and facing a difficult out-of-conference schedule, I was extremely, extremely proud of that group.
24-10 final record in this season, and obviously making it to the Sweet 16 for the second time in Fordham history, making it to the Sweet 16 of the WNIT. Coming into this season, I remember we talked about it and not sure how it was going to go, wishing that you didn't put together the kind of schedule you did non-conference coming into the season because you didn't know who you'd lose coming in. And obviously, with the notable loss, obviously, of Kate Krislina, some others along the way, and you got down to it, and it's the WNIT Sweet 16 against Virginia Tech, and that's where the season came to an end. Has that sunk in yet, that looking back, if you go back through these Gaitley shows, you look back to episode number 1, I don't know if you saw that 24-10 finish going into the Sweet 16.
Absolutely not. Like you had mentioned, when Anna and Kate didn't come back, that affected us. And then we went into the foreign tour, and then we had the injuries to Mary and Asante, and that affected us. Then we had some things that happened within the season that affected us. So there was a lot of ups and downs, and to come back and look at having one of the best records in school's history with all those things taken into account, I'm extremely proud, and I'm excited about the future.
Obviously, no regrets throughout the season. Looking back at it, is there some part of you that's happy that you kind of got juked out a little bit by say, like a Kreslina, because it kind of put you into the situation where you gave them a little bit of a tougher schedule, gave this young team a tougher schedule, and allowed them to step it up that way?
I mean, you can look at it that way. I look at it like Anna and Kate would have played a lot because we had so much need in the backcourt, and we had so many young kids vying for those minutes. I mean, fortunately, Bre really stepped up her game and was obviously a significant contributor. But I wish they had been here because I think they would have added, and I think maybe we knock off a Penn State at Penn State, maybe a couple wins that would have affected our RPI that could have put in a position to, if we had finished second and maybe gone to the championship and maybe been in the conversation for an at-large bid, So I mean, but you can only control what we have control over, and so the things that we had control over was taking the hand that we were dealt, and I thought we did a terrific job of it.
Is there, you could be as vague as you want, but is there a time in this season where you realized this team was going to be serious coming into the Atlantic 10, coming into the Atlantic 10 season, the conference season, and then beyond?
I think one of the pivotal games was the Pitt home win, just because of the loss of G that day, and I think there was a lot of growth on in a lot of ways in that day, and so for us to be able to pull together and beat an ACC team and use that to springboard into other games was extremely beneficial to our growth.
You had Jamaris Davis, the Defensive Player of the Year, obviously all defensive team, all conference first team. You had Bre Cavanaugh making the all rookie team. You had her on the all conference second team as well. As there for individually, how big were those two this entire season?
I mean, it was great. I mean, G and I, we laughed because we've had conversations where I told her, like, midway through the year, I don't know if I'm going to put you up for all defensive team, because the only chance you have to make it is if your coach nominates you. And she really, she really pushed my buttons a few times where I just thought she wasn't as focused as she needed to be. And then, when we got back from the Duquesne game, and she really was a difference maker in that game, obviously I went all in, and I'm glad I did, because it resulted in her being Defensive Player of the Year, and of course I want her to be recognized. And so I'm really proud of the growth that she's had both on and off the court. I just think that her future is extremely bright.
It's kind of the same question as I asked you before with the season, but was there a point in the season that you realized Bre Cavanaugh was going to be the real deal, and not just obviously for this season, how she finished this season, but obviously in the years to come?
I think the pivotal point for me was at St. John's. Like, you could tell that she wanted the ball, and she stepped up at crunch time, and she became someone that we knew we could go to in that money time. And so that, to me, I think for her individually, that St. John's game was probably the turning point game.
After that WNIT loss, obviously you had time in that game. I think it wasn't a heartbreaker toward the end. You had time to realize that, okay, the season's waning away now, and it seemed like it was a better mood all in all throughout toward the final stages of that game, with everyone on the bench realizing, okay, this is it. But you put it in the rear view, and this has been a great season. Was that the feeling afterwards and immediately after?
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like you lost by one. I mean, it was at halftime when they hit that half-court shot, you're like, it's just not going to go our way. You just kind of felt like this is the way it was going. And I didn't want to take anything away from, because one of our traditions is in the last game is we, acknowledge and give kind of open the locker room for anybody to speak about our seniors. And obviously, G being the only senior there, I didn't want to take away from that. She earned the right for everybody to speak. And I think it was, and not only did, people spoke that wanted to speak, but G spoke, and she was terrific. And so all in all, I think it was and then obviously we went right into spring break. So all in all, I just think it was a great cap off of the season.
My final question is going to be, what was your favorite moment, favorite game maybe of this season? Because there were a lot of them, and for me, the ones that I broadcasted, obviously you could look back at like that St. John's game, but I wasn't there. So the ones that I broadcasted, I always go back to a couple of losses. I feel like I loved the St. Louis game, double overtime game on the road, because I felt like that was a great game that, again, G wasn't a part of, and you see the team rally. The Dayton game at home, that one was just a great game in general to appreciate and to watch. But for you yourself, and obviously those WNIT games, but that goes without saying. What about which one was one of your favorites this season?
I think out of conference it would be St. John's, just because it was a pivotal game for us, because we hadn't beat St. John's. And so not only to beat them, but beat them there, I think was a pivotal game. And like you said, in conference, I think that one of the first St. Louis games was big, because, they were picked ahead of us, and that was a TV game, and it was crunch time. We made some mistakes at the end, but we were able to overcome our mistakes and pull away the win. And then you hit the nail on the head with, the Dayton game. There were some pivotal games, even through losses, that were good ones. And of course, the growth of growing through the losses of, at being, or not losses, but being down against Harvard and Drexel and fighting back, I think showed a lot of the intestinal fortitude of this team.
If you had one word or maybe a sentence to just put this 2017-2018 season in the books, what would it be?
I just think that I'm thankful for, I don't want to say overachieving, but I just think that we maximized everybody on this team, and I think we achieved a great success. I think I mean, if you use the word overachieve, it might not be fair because then it doesn't do justice to the talent because we have a very talented team. But the fact that we were so young, I felt that we did overachieve with, the hands we were dealt in certain areas. But I'm just appreciative of the 100% effort of the team and the commitment from everybody across the board.
Well, we're not done with Coach just yet. We'll bring her back in just a bit to talk about next season and obviously this upcoming off season. But first, we're going to go on the court, and we have a pretty full court. And now we're on the court here with 3 guests, and that's a little more than we usually have, but it's a special occasion. Last episode here of the Stephanie Gaitley Show, so we'll go from your right to your left in Lauren Holden, Bre Cavanaugh, and Jamaris Davis. We have basically every class represented, I think. We have senior. We have freshmen going into sophomore, though I'm still not completely sure of the verbiage there with Bre because she's been here. She's done that. And then we have Lauren Holden, obviously a rising senior. We don't have a rising junior. That's the one we're missing. But first off, I'm going to start with you, G, because now it's officially done, right? The collegiate basketball experience for you is done. Has that settled in yet?
Yeah. I start getting a little sad. Like, I come back to play pickup, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not a part of the team anymore. So it gets a little sad sometimes because I miss it, but I'm excited for the next journey.
What about you, Bre? Now, this was your first full season, and obviously you've waited a bit to get into that first full season here playing college basketball. How was it? Was it what you expected? A little bit longer, a little bit shorter? What did you think about it?
I mean, I guess it was what I expected because I was here last year. But it was a fun season. I had fun playing with G. Definitely gonna miss her next year, but it was definitely a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to next season.
Lauren, you're gonna be a senior next year, and obviously you've taken up a leadership role in general through your years here at Fordham. But next year now you're gonna be a leader and you're gonna be a senior, so you get the double whammy there. Has that sunk in?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, the 4 years that you're here goes by really quickly. So it's definitely just kind of shocking that I'm already going to be a senior. So
how do we feel about the end of the season now? Not just in terms of how it ended in the WNIT, because it seemed like spirits were pretty much up after that game. You obviously it wasn't a last-minute buzzer beater. You had time to kind of put that into perspective and put the season into perspective. But now that it's officially over, you can look back at what you guys accomplished this season, and what kind of words do you guys put into what this season meant? We'll start with you. We'll move down the bench.
Okay.
You're the senior. You got to go first.
You want just like one word?
No. You can put it into however many words you want.
It was I don't want to say a roller coaster ride because it was a whole lot more fun times than it was bad times, but it was just a big learning experience for all of us. We came together as a team over the summer, and from then we just really had each other's backs through the ups, through the downs. Anything we went through all season, we stayed together. I couldn't be more proud of the group. We made it to the Sweet 16 of the WNIT. We finished 3rd in Atlantic 10 play. A lot of people didn't expect much out of us because we were a young team, and we were able to prove a lot of people wrong. We were able to show how tough we are, even as a young team. So I'm really proud of everything that we were able to accomplish this year.
Yeah, I mean, going off G, I thought the season was pretty good. We definitely did prove a lot of people wrong because, like, not only were we young, but as G stated, like, we finished 3rd in Atlantic 10 play. So that's a pretty big statement considering the fact that people looked at us and kind of was like, oh, they're not going to be as good as previous years. So.
yeah, just going off of what the other two just said, basically just along the same lines that I just thought that during the season, through the highs and lows, we were able to stay together, and just the outcome of the season, being able to make it to the Sweet 16 of the WNIT and finishing 3rd in our conference play, like, that just shows a lot.
We'll reverse order this time, and I'll go right back to you, Lauren. Next season and this off season, what's the step you want to take going forward? Is there a specific part of your game you want to improve? Is there just something in general that you want to take a step up in going into next season?
Like, individually or as a team?
Individually.
I personally, I just want to work on, like, leadership skills, and just from this past season, you learn a lot being a captain, and just improving on that role, and trying to do that role better for the team.
Bre, it was a really impressive freshman campaign, redshirt freshman campaign, and you're gonna be expected to follow that up next season. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of eyes on you because of the performance you had this season. Is that something that you look forward to?
I'm kind of just looking forward to the newbies coming in because we're gonna be young again. But I'm kind of looking forward to helping them out, and because I was in their shoes last year and kind of helping them get used to learning the plays and getting used to our system. So I'm kind of looking forward to that rather than like individual success.
Mm-hmm. And then G, obviously, what's the next step for you? What's your off season going to entail? Because it's not going to be preparing now for another season. It's going to be beyond that. So obviously, fascinating.
It is kind of the same, preparing for another season. I just signed with an agent a week ago, so I'm in the process. The draft is on Thursday, so we'll see what happens with that. Overseas play will start in late August, early September. So I'm just really trying to focus on, just being the best overall player I can be. Making sure that I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in. Making sure that, my confidence is at, its peak level, because at the next level, everybody's great, So I just have to make sure that I'm fully prepared. My confidence is there. My conditioning is there. My skill set is solid. So it's just like preparing for another season. I'll be lifting. I'll be working out. I'll be conditioning. I'll be doing everything that I would have been doing if I had another year here. So.
Is there a watch party for the draft then on Thursday? Are you guys getting together? Is there just going to be, or there's just going to be a lot going on within yourself, obviously? I'm
just so nervous and excited at the same time. I don't even like to talk about it because I feel like if I talk about it too much, maybe I'll jinx it. I don't know. So I just try to I think about it a lot, but I don't talk about it at all just because whatever is for me is going to be for me. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I try not to get so caught up in, talking about it so much. I'm just letting everything play out, and however it unfolds is how it happens.
Well, I'm excited for G. G been working hard, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
So you're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's put a bow on this last season. I want just a couple of more lighter questions. Do you guys have a moment, a game, a shot this season that you remember that just comes into your mind when you think about this season that you're proud of, or just something that stands up in your mind?
I would have to say, maybe it's because it's one of the what's the word I'm looking for? We just played it in WNIT, so it's one of the most recent games. But I would probably say the Drexel game, just because we were down during that game and we fought back, and I thought we stuck together during that game. And there's another game that kind of sticks out to me, was the St. Louis game home this year, that I just remember we turned the ball over and then we needed to get a stop, and it's almost like we knew we were going to get that stop.
Oh my goodness, I remember it was that exact moment. I was freaking out. Zara turned the ball over. I was like, what almost having a heart attack. And I look over to her and I see she looks like she's about to explode into tears. She didn't know what to do, what to think, what to say. And I knew in myself, I was so frustrated, and I just looked at her and I saw how she felt, and I was like, I can't even show her how upset I am right now. I just went over to her. I said, it's okay, because we're going to get a stop. So let's go. Get on defense. She said, okay. And that's exactly what we did. We got a stop. I was like, holy crap. Because it was I believed we were going to get a stop, but at the same time, it was I can't believe this just happened. So when we got the stop, I was like, oh, my goodness. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. That St. Louis game was crazy.
That was, yeah.
Any other ones you less stress-inducing? Because I know the St. John's game early on in the season was a big non-conference victory. I wasn't at that one, but I know that one obviously was one of the bigger games this season. And then a couple of losses, like the St. Louis game on the road, double overtime. Obviously, without UG, it was a big game in general. The Pittsburgh game, I know, was one that Coach mentioned as well.
The UC
Davis,
LA,
the UNC, was it UNC?
UNC something. I know what you're talking about. They were black and yellow.
One, the Colorado,
University of Northern Colorado. Yeah, the UNC, but not the Tar Heels.
The Christmas tournament. Those games.
Yeah, that whole tournament was fun.
Yeah, that whole tournament.
And then even the Dayton game here at home, where it was the 1-point loss, I thought was just a great game in general. And obviously that what was it, the end of the first quarter when Bre, I think you hit like three threes in a row to end that quarter. I thought that was a pretty cool moment as well, just in general. But obviously a lot of them, and when you have to point to losses and say, yeah, that was a pretty cool moment as well, it says a lot about the season as a whole. Just a couple of final ones. If you guys, obviously a lot of travel this season, and obviously, a lot of travel throughout your 4 years and whatnot. So, but picking from this team this season, who's the biggest goofball on the team? Like, who messes around the most? It might be Bre. I was gonna say. I was waiting for it.
Because all she does is play.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is it Uno? Is that the game you guys
That
are
is
playing
the
in the bus?
Yes,
I
that's
am the
game.
Uno champion.
No.
I just want to let
Jimmy, you know I beat you all the time.
now she's lost. Me and Bre were the closest two, but I'm the Uno champion.
I'm like far behind.
I'm
Like,
definitely
they're crossing
the
they're
Uno
like
champion.
tying, crossing the finish line, and I'm like back.
I think it was I think Gia had like 80 something wins. I had 70 something wins. She had like 3 wins. The whole
Was there
time.
anybody better that's not here in the room? Or
No.
anybody close?
No.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Not even.
On the court and off the court, then just getting it done. What about you had the Skittles game as well? Was that more of that was more of a Kristen thing? I feel like she
Yeah.
definitely ran that.
Yeah.
But was
Yeah.
she did she participate in it though? Or is she just the commish?
I think she was
Yeah.
the commish, right?
I
don't-
never
I don't
played
know.
it.
All I know
I
is that
didn't
I
play it.
tried
Wow,
to play
so
it.
just-
and
just
I
Uno.
did
hard.
terrible.
The Skittles
I
game
did
is hard
terrible.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a stick it
Raylene was the best at it
Yeah,
though.
she knew.
She's
It
the
didn't
champ.
matter. Like she guessed every color. I'm like, what? I'm sitting in the back of the bus minding my business, and I just hear Raylene just keep screaming out colors. I'm like, wow.
Murph came in second though. Murph,
Oh.
was pretty good at that too.
And then what about a favorite trip this season? Did you guys have one that you remember more than the other ones? Just I mean, it could be what happened on the court, but obviously off the court, we've been around. St. Louis obviously went up in the arch. I know that we went to a couple houses. Murph's house. We went to your sister's house, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I loved going to Bree's sister's house. The food was amazing, but I think my favorite trip was the Philly trip. Just because all of my first time I got to go
Wow.
to Philly all year, all of my family and friends were there, so it was really exciting.
For
And
the
we-
Drexel game, right?
Yeah, and we pulled off a great win, so I was excited.
Yeah, I
about
thought
that
more
one.
Fordham fans were there than Drexel.
Definitely,
honestly.
we had our
Yeah.
whole
We had-
our section was lit.
Yeah.
Anyone
Our
else?
fans were crazy.
Those are I mean, those are good ones. I'm not gonna lie. I think those
I
are
mean,
the.
the foreign tour was.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there, but
Listen, that I will do it
Oh,
again.
Yeah.
I will do it again.
Yeah.
Foreign tour was the best time
Do it
ever.
So much
Best
fun.
time ever.
And Bre, obviously, your parents traveled to like every game. We got a selfie
Yeah.
with them. The crew that went with just your dad though. We got a selfie with them. We got a couple of them. It was. I'll show you it after the
That's-
show.
that's
Great picture. Great. He was awesome. He gave me maybe one too many of the chest bumps. Obviously, he I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but you know what
Yeah, he's pretty
we
big.
take it. But that's gonna put a wrap for it on the court segment. Obviously, thank you guys. You not only for today, but obviously throughout the season, because obviously we've had you on a lot, and that's what happens when you guys perform well on the court. And G, obviously, thank you for everything throughout the years, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go. We've already put a wrap on the 2017-2018 season. We're going to look ahead. We're going to have some new faces next year. So we're going to start to preview that with, again, head coach Stephanie Gaitley. And now with the 2017-2018 season in the books, we could look ahead to the 2018-2019 season for the Fordham Rams. And we're back with head coach Stephanie Gaitley, who's giving that look like, oh, my goodness, it's just another year, and it keeps going. But how exciting is it that you do get to just keep going and you get to see the growth now? Because you did have a young team, and it's not like the team a couple seasons ago where everyone was leaving and you had to start from scratch. Now you're able to build off of these young players, and you have you're expecting the young team this season.
Yeah, I like the energy. I mean, obviously we have a big void to fill with G. I mean, that's a big loss. I mean, she's in the record book. She's one of the best players to ever play in Fordham history. But, we've been able, when we've had people graduate of that magnitude, we've been able to, keep moving on. And I'm excited about the different kids that can step up. And I'm excited about the recruit. We had a really good recruiting class coming in. We picked up a fifth-year kid from Columbia. So I think we've got some interesting pieces.
What are the feelings when you have just one senior to give away this season, which is a rarity in general where it's only one senior that you have to give away, but then it ends up being one of the most prominent players, one of the most prominent to ever put on a Fordham jersey in Jamaris Davis.
I mean, it's mixed emotions, obviously, because, G gave us so much, and there was so much growth for her. But at the same time, it's a new challenge, and I love challenges. It's one of the reasons I took this job, because I embrace challenges, and I think our kids will take it as a challenge. Like, it'll be interesting to see where we're picked, in preseason. That'll tell you what people thought of the team as averse, to where we were with the loss of G. But I anticipate us being picked pretty high, because I think the nucleus of what we bring back is solid. I think we have another solid schedule. I think the foreign tour was so beneficial. We won't have access to that, but we'll be able to get the young kids here in the summer to continue that bonding.
Which player that we're familiar with, the ones that have played on the court this season or that we've seen this season, who are you most excited for? Is it going to be Bre Cavanaugh, seeing what she could do in her second full year, or is it going to be one of the seniors?
Well, the thing I'm excited about is, we've had the individual meetings with the kids, and they're all excited to grow. And that's a big thing, because, like, when I talked to Bre about where I thought she needed to grow, she was open-minded. Like, she knows there's a lot of growth, and I think that means she's only going to get better. And it's been through my experience, of all the years coaching, that the biggest jump is freshman and sophomore year. So with the freshmen we have, I think just having that, year behind them helps them a great deal. Anytime you bring in a fifth-year kid, also you bring in experience as well. And we've always done well with the fifth-year player. But, I mean, I'm expecting, Mary and Lauren to step up another notch. I'm expecting Bre to continue where she left off and do even more. And then I think, I think there's going to be a learning curve with Joey, coming out. And, of course, Kendall and Zara and the other freshmen, between Katie and Raylene and Murph and the kids, that we have coming back. But I'm excited about the recruiting class coming in, because I think they're a good mix with what we have.
You brought up Joey. Obviously, Jamaris is not a spot you fill. You don't just fill those kinds of shoes right off the bat, or it's rare to get that done. But you have a post presence that you need to fill. Is that going to be filled by somebody that we've seen this season, like a Joey Klug, or are we going to be looking for a Valisi Tuvui next season, or somebody else that we haven't seen yet?
Valisi's going to add a lot. She has that 6-game requirement that she has to sit out early, and plus she's nursing that injury, so it's going to take some time for her, but her future's really bright. One, because she's very talented. She's 6'5", but also because she's a worker. And I've done very well with kids that want to work, because they only get better and better, and so I'm really excited about her future. It's different. She's different than what G gives us. I mean, G was 6'2", extremely athletic. Valisi's more of a big, solid presence. And, and then, of course, Joey, I think, is a versatile forward that, sometimes the lane was kind of clogged because, G was a commanding presence. So this will open up to G a little bit.
In terms of scheduling, which I know you already have pretty much solved out, but without saying too much about it, what are we looking at this season? Is it something that you kind of want to match last season in terms of non-conference play, still very competitive, or you want to take a little step back, or do you want to push it a little bit more forward? What's your
It's
what's
a
your
mix.
idea?
We're still trying to finalize a couple things, and when we know Penn State's coming in, we're looking at a couple tournaments over Thanksgiving that have some Power Fives in there. Our Christmas tournament's almost set with some very good teams in the Christmas tournament. So, I mean, it'll be another solid schedule. I mean, so it might not be as strong, but it certainly is in the realm of what we did.
Going into this season, you were picked fifth in the preseason, obviously because of a lot of the pieces that you lost this season. And you mentioned this earlier, that it's only Jamaris that you're really losing, and that's still a big piece. Where would you, if you're to say right now, and obviously it's hard to say right now, but where are you thinking? Is it a top 3 that people should be looking for you? Is it top?
I would think that's where we'd be based on the graduation. There's a lot of schools that graduate. I think Duquesne would probably be the front runners just because they have everybody back. Dayton obviously always reloads, and I mean there's always St. Joseph's. There's all those teams are all good. UMass is coming. I could go down the line because of the parity involved. That's why I said anybody can beat anybody, and that's GW proved that. So I just think it's going to be open, but I expect us to be in the top teams in the conference.
What's the message to the fans as you get set for this upcoming season? What's gonna get them excited for this season for your team?
I think this team was fun to watch because we played so hard and we played for each other, and I think that's going to continue. And I think the fact that we're bringing some good teams into Rose Hill, that people will be excited back, and that we're playing a competitive schedule, and I think that we've got the backbone, big part of our team back. So I think that we're going to pick up where we left off, and we went from when we took this job, last in the conference to attendance, so right now currently third in the A10 in attendance. So we've proven that we have a good product and people have enjoyed it, so we're looking forward to more of the same.
Well, that's going to do it for this season for the Stephanie Gaitley Show, and obviously thank you not just for today, but throughout the season, through the games, the interviews, all of that. We thank Coach Stephanie Gaitley. We also thank everyone here in the Fordham Athletics office, Fordham Women's Basketball office that helped us schedule throughout the entire season. We thank Fordham Information's Ryan Ulick and Sarah Trinelli as well, and of course all of our guests throughout the season, especially Bre Cavanaugh, Jamaris Davis, and Lauren Holden.
Davis on the break all the way. Great first name.